April 12, 2021. And call the roll, please.
Commissioner Isabel,
Here.
Commissioner Meredith,
He's on his way.
He's on his way.
Signing in, yeah.
Josh Anderson,
Here.
Robert McCamey,
Here.
Steve Meade,
Here.
Teresa Scott,
Here.
Bill Yeager, Tracy Wandell.
Here.
All members in attendance, I'll do the prayer, and then Commissioner Meade will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Oh, most gracious and heavenly Father, thank you so much for the gift of salvation, Father. This time of the season, it just opens our hearts up even more, Father God. Father God, we ask that you will guide our nation. Father God, we ask that you guide our leaders here in this county, because everything is a grassroots service, Father God. We just ask in your name to give us insight. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Please join me in the salute to the flag. Hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And approval of agenda. Commissioner Anderson, or Chairman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to add a discussion with the circuit court clerk about amending the background check resolution. And I'd like to put that under for the request from sheriff's cadets, and then would also like to add for the law director accepting service of federal lawsuits. And then I'd like to add under old business, but I guess whenever she's able to dial in, Dr. Bunick's COVID update.
Okay. All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second to approve as
This is
amended?
Commissioner Meade, I second the motion.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Isabel,
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith, Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
McCamey,
Aye.
Commissioner Meade,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Commissioner Wandell.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have appearance of citizens. Is there one out in the virtual world that would like to speak?
Mr. Chairman, I needed to add something to the agenda, and
Oh, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
I need to add the Family Justice Center MOU. I had distributed that via email. You actually passed that in November of 2019, but the Office of Criminal Justice Programs would like that updated with a current date. And also, I think Mr. Stevens is going to be there. If he's there, you can just put that motion to add the election administrator as an ex officio under his agenda. And then under old business, I was supposed to come back with the accounting for the sales tax, and I need to put that off until next month.
Okay. All right, so we'll just add that into your report.
Yes, if we could put the Family Justice Center as 1A, that
Okay.
would be appreciated.
All right, do we have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Anderson, second by Commissioner Wandell. Any discussion? Call the roll, please. Yes.
Rick Meredith, Josh Anderson,
Aye.
Robert McCamey,
Aye.
Steve Meade,
Aye.
Teresa Scott,
Aye.
Bill Yeager,
Aye.
Tracy Wandell.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Thank you, Mayor. Next, we have Mark Stevens, selection of the recent redistricting committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to add him as an ex officio member.
okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Mead, I second.
A second by Commissioner Mead. Discussion. Commissioner Anderson.
Is the committee going to include the entire operations committee for the redistricting, or
That's what was accepted.
that's what was accepted? Okay, thank you.
I think all that, if I understand correctly, that's what Mark was wanting to be made. I don't see him online anywhere. So I have a motion second. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Tim Isabel,
Aye.
Rick Meredith, Josh Anderson,
Aye.
Robert McCamey,
Aye.
Steve Mead,
Aye.
Teresa Scott,
Aye.
Bill Yeager,
Aye.
Tracy Wandell.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. You wanted to put J's under that, didn't you? Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
while we're on the redistricting, I think there's something under the mayor's report about Billy Brown from the Property Assessor's Office being our GIS coordinator.
yes. That's number 2.
Okay, can we go ahead and approve that at this point? If so, I'll make the motion.
That's fine with me. We have a motion. We have a second to accept Mr. Billy Brown as GIS coordinator for the
Second.
redistricting committee. We have a second by Commissioner Anderson. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Tim Isabel,
Aye.
Rick Meredith,
Aye.
Josh Anderson,
Aye.
Robert McCamey,
Aye.
Steve Mead,
Aye.
Teresa Scott,
Aye.
Bill Yeager,
Aye.
Tracy Wandell.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Jay?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, are you on the cadet issue?
No, we're going to go ahead and put you next.
Which
You're
is,
up.
which one you want me to talk about first, sir?
It's up to you.
Okay, the circuit court clerk background check resolution needs to be amended. Mr. Lynch has evaluated this procedure and he's not having near the number of people come in asking. It's not taking a lot of time away from his ladies and men that work with him. So he'd like to keep it as is, except take the fee out. So there would be no fee. It would be free to Anderson County citizens. And, but that's what he'd like to do, is keep it in place, except take the fee out.
Mr. Lynch is in the room if anybody would like to speak to him. Commissioner Mead?
And the other thing I have is, since there's a little bit of a charge, then some people might not be using it that would otherwise, but if it's free, it's very likely that the use could go up substantially. If that happens and it becomes a burden, we could always revisit this. Is that not right?
Yes, we've talked about that. And he said maybe in the future, if the need arises, he'll come back. But right now, he doesn't see the need, sir.
That's good. Thanks.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Tim Isabel,
Aye.
Rick Meredith,
Aye.
Josh Anderson,
Aye.
Robert McCamey,
Aye.
Steve Mead,
Aye.
Teresa Scott,
Aye.
Phil Yeager,
Aye.
Tracy Wondell.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Go ahead,
Thank you,
Jay.
sir. The next item I have for you is we were contacted today from the court clerk for the federal district court sitting in Knoxville, and they asked if we'd like to participate in e-service. What that means is they'll send an email to the mayor and myself when we get a lawsuit, and a federal marshal or a private process server will not have to come out and hand deliver that lawsuit to us. It'll be sent to us via email. And at that point, instead of the 21 days we normally have to answer a federal lawsuit, we'll have 60 days. So there is some advantages to that. A state lawsuit, you know, I've mentioned this to you many times before, we have 30 days to answer, but that's very short on the federal side, the 21 days. So that would be increased to 60 days to respond. That helps us a lot. I noticed even the cases that we defer over to insurance, they ask for additional time to answer these lawsuits. So I think it's a good move. I spoke to the mayor about it, and I think she's supportive of it. She'll know all the lawsuits that we get, just as she does now. But I think there's some advantages to it. And again, we don't have to see a federal marshal walking through the courthouse or a private process server going into the mayor's office or my office serving paperwork. But if you'd like to participate in that program, I need a motion and approval.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Mead,
Second.
second by Commissioner Wandale, or was that Commissioner McCamey?
Either one.
Okay.
It was McCamey, but I second it too, if you need it.
All right, thank you. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Thank you. Jay, is it possible to put in there that it would be stipulated that all emails be sent by secure email? And I'm asking that because of all these issues that we've had with emails and hacking and so forth. By sending it via secure email, it would require that the email is actually being encrypted, and it takes, you know, the passwords and so forth, confirmation
Yes, ma'am.
to pull the information. I mean, my concern is that if someone's going to hack someone's email, they won't be able to obtain any information on that.
That's a very valid concern, and thank you. Yes, I'm sure we can do that. The county does have a encrypted service that we all utilize frequently. I'll speak with the clerk over there and see if we can get it sent encrypted to us, if that's your desire. But thank you for
Yes.
the comment.
Yeah, please, if you would.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Any other discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Isabel,
Aye.
Commissioner Meredith,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCamey,
Aye.
Commissioner Mead,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Commissioner Wandale.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last item I have for you tonight is very dear to my heart. The sheriff, about 18 months ago, started a cadet program. Our cadets are just second to none. We've been told by the Boy Scouts we have the best Explorer unit in the entire region, and I believe that. I've been very fortunate to work with the cadets and teaching part of their academy. They've all been through a 105-hour academy. I have with me tonight Commander Carr, who deserves a lot of the kudos for this project. He's the one that came to Sheriff Barker, got it started. He's there every night with these kids. And I should have Sheriff Barker over there also to talk to you, but it's a fabulous program. What we have is this is young men and women ages 14 to 18 that want to become in their professional life part of the law enforcement, public safety, or public service field. I even have a couple that want to be attorneys. And they've been trying to be self-sufficient. They don't like to go out for donations. They've had a few. Some great business partners in the community have donated some money to them, but they get the majority of their money by selling Scout coupon books. Well, it's today's day and age, that's a safety issue. What they'd like to do, instead of going door to door and selling these coupon books or going to businesses and soliciting funds, we don't like to do that, is they'd like to put a vending machine downstairs in the Jolly Building garage. They've got a donation of a nice vending machine that has snacks in it and drinks. This will be available to anyone. If you know anything about the Jolly Building, there's one drink machine on the 5th floor the school department has, but that's closed at roughly 5 o'clock. So none of our officers can get up there and get a Coke or a snack during the night. None of our dispatchers can. And if you've been here through the night, the Jolly Building is active 24 hours a day. So we're hoping to capture some thirsty people that may want a snack, may want to drink, and they're not asking for any money whatsoever from the county commission. They want to be self-sufficient, and they'll operate this machine. They'll come in and they'll restock it and do everything they possibly can to make it a good machine, a smooth operation, an efficient process. All the funds will be accounted for. And I'd just like your permission to install a drink machine. I've spoke with Roger about this. He's willing to help us. And if you'd like to look at the drink machine, it's outside the elevator door in the garage. It's a very nice machine that's been donated to them. And Sheriff, if you and Commander Carr have anything you want to say, please chime in. But we deeply appreciate the Sheriff for organizing this unit. It is a fabulous bunch of kids. We're fixing to go back through our recruitment process and start our second academy. So if you know any young men and women ages 14 to 18 that would like to be involved in the Sheriff's Cadet Program, please have them contact Commander Carr and we'll get them on the list. But any questions about this process, or does the Sheriff or Commander Carr want to speak to it? But thank you.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman. It's Rick.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Meredith, second by Commissioner Wandell. Discussion? Comments? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Isabel,
Aye.
Commissioner Meredith,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCamey,
Aye.
Commissioner Meade,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Commissioner Wandell.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your support of this unit. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Jay. Good presentation. Thank you. Next, we have the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've already taken care of item number 1 and number 2. The agenda item that we added, number 1, was the approval of the Family Justice Center MOU, and I did distribute that to you and also to Annette.
Motion to approve.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Meade, second by Chairman Anderson. Discussion?
I believe that's all that's going to need is just to be updated and have current dates. Other than that, there's no changes, right?
Yes, Commissioner Meade, that's correct. And Melissa Miller, who is the director, she's online as well if you have any questions for her.
That's all I want to know.
All right.
Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Isabel,
Aye.
Commissioner Meredith,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCamey,
Aye.
Commissioner Meade,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Commissioner Wandell.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous, and thank you, Ms. Miller, for being online as well for questions.
The next item is I'm requesting a motion to approve resolution number 2104860. This resolution amends and consolidates the fees that are charged for the adoption of animals, the reclaim of animals, and animals owners surrendered to the Anderson County Animal Shelter into one fee schedule. And this has been reviewed and approved by the law director. And what we had done is over time, if you'll recall, as the program grew and then we were able to do things, we added different fees for that stage in the process. And so this puts them all into one. And then we also have changes. So the adult cats are $50 as those are the hardest to adopt. So we are lowering the fees on those. And then $75 per kitten. So where originally it was $85 for all. And as the cats are the number one animal that is euthanized, unfortunately, it's lowered somewhat just to try to encourage the further adoption of those animals.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Scott.
in that section 1, Mayor, the animal fees, you don't have a charge for puppies. You just say adult dogs.
Oh, gosh, yes, we do need to fix that, don't we? So,
And I would actually suggest that you specify an age or a time frame on the kittens and puppies, because some people, it's like, well, I've got a 5-year-old kitten, as an example. I mean, she's pure kitten.
that's a great, I will definitely, we will update that. So if we get a motion, I will address that and distribute a new copy before full commission.
And I would actually suggest that the price, because in looking online at not only our animal shelter, but in surrounding areas, it seems as though that the adult cats, anything really 5 years and up, there's a whole lot of them, not only in Anderson County, but all the way around. And I would suggest that you actually make that a lower charge, because if someone were looking for an adult cat, they're able to pick one up anywhere. I mean, whether they're stopping at PetSmart in Turkey Creek or Loudon, Campbell County even, because they're more popular, I should say.
And that was, I think, the team there roundtabled on that. And, there's even some, so for instance, philosophically within the folks in our department, we have, and I'm not going to name, but there's a very prominent shelter that a lot of you have heard of. They do free adoption events. And what happens is they may end up clearing out the shelter, but there have been numerous times where we actually end up getting those animals and they have their chips and then we call. And so we're trying to kind of balance, you don't want to encourage the impulse. And we're also trying to balance the fees because we are paying the vet bills, the vaccinations, and the spay neuter. So,
okay.
So we're taking a loss on that, but we also get a lot of donations. So it's kind of a balance. That's how they came about that $50. It still allows us to recoup some of the cost, but if that makes sense.
It does. I mean, and if that's the case, I mean, I would suggest that in section 2 and 3, that not only are you stating that the animal has to be spayed and neutered, but put down that, that fee is included. Not only is it required, but it's included in the adoption.
Okay, I can fix
Because
that.
in looking at it, I'm looking at it like, okay, to adopt the animal, it's X amount of dollars. Now I have to go get it spayed and, shots and everything else as well. Well, if that's included, yes, simply specify that it is.
Right. Well, and also just to give a little more clarification under section 2, the reason we did keep that separate. So for instance, once the animal becomes property of Anderson County, we do have an allowance in there under section 10 that it can be transferred to a verified 501c3. And for instance, Sarge, as an example, they were there today. And, or another shelter. And in those occasions, Commissioner Scott, then they take the responsibility for the spay neuter. So we're keeping in there the requirement per TCA that they have to be spayed or neutered, but we're transferring that responsibility to another, either a partner shelter or the 501c3. So that is a little bit why we kept that separate.
Well, then in section 10, put down that they're responsible for that spaying and neutering. Because the way it's listed then, it's appearing as though it's Anderson County that's responsible for it.
Yes.
And see what I mean? I mean, I'm just looking for it not to get caught in a loophole.
Okay. Okay. I can certainly update that, and I'll work with Jay on that.
In section 5, you've got that somebody can bring in, well, section 4 is saying per animal, it's $20. Section 5 says the entire litter is 20.
Yes, and the reason behind that is because we want to get them in. We want them to be, brought to the shelter responsibly. And if someone finds, for instance, a litter of kittens or a litter of puppies, we don't want, someone just to leave them or do something, which has happened, drown them or whatever. And if you find a litter of 8 puppies, for instance, or 8 kittens, and you're doing a $20 per animal when they're a kitten, there's probably very few people that are going to actually do that.
Right. Okay.
Put them outside our fence or, we're trying to get them to do the right thing, but then also the surrender fee and
Right.
still have the fee.
Okay. All right, cool. Sorry for being nitpicky, but
That's good input.
Mr. Scott, you want to make the motion?
oh, sure, if you want to put that in a bundle package deal. That's kind of, there was a lot in there for modifications, but I guess to make a motion to approve it with the modifications
Okay.
as specified.
Commissioner Meade, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Scott, seconded by Commissioner Meade. Discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Isabel,
Aye.
Commissioner Meredith,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCamey,
Aye.
Commissioner Meade,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Commissioner Wandale.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, the next item is requesting approval of resolution number 2104861. This would allow the Anderson County Animal Care and Control Department to accept credit cards as a payment option. I did reach out to the comptroller's office and get some advice on this from Penny Austin. I also worked with Mr. Yeager on this. He did review and approve this resolution. Most notably, Section 1 is that they may accept credit or debit cards pursuant to 91108 for the payment for reclaim, adoption, surrender of animals, or for donations. Section 2 is that processing fees are waived. In Section 3, the Finance Department is authorized to establish a separate bank account for the Animal Care and Control credit card collections in order to clear and to be reconciled. And that was per the advice of Ms. Austin at the Comptroller's office. The Finance Department would handle setting that up, and then that way they can reconcile all the individual charges. And that is the motion I'm requesting.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Yeager,
Second.
second by Commissioner Scott. Discussion? Seeing none, go, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Isabel,
Aye.
Commissioner Meredith,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCamey,
Aye.
Commissioner Meade,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
and Commissioner Wandale.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you, commissioners. This is going to be a big help and make a difference also, I think, with donations as well. The next item, this actually comes about from an email that a citizen sent Christopher Hammond, I believe was his name, to, he sent back in December or January, I can't recall, to Commissioner Fritz. He lives in Commissioner Fritz and Commissioner Wandale's district. And he asked if the county could perhaps do an Adopt a Road program like Knox County. And so it took us a little while to get the work done, but that is what is before you today, is a resolution 2104862, authorizing the county mayor and the solid waste department to implement a community Adopt a Road program to help combat litter in Anderson County. And this has been, thank you to Jay. He reviewed a lot of documents for us on this. This does have his approval. The program would be like any needs that are part of this program. Volunteers would host, they would be making a commitment to host 2 cleanups per year. If they successfully do 2 cleanups, then they would be eligible for a sign that notes their adoption. The county would supply trash bags, gloves, litter grabbers, and safety vests. And then upon the completion of the 2 pickup commitment, then they would be eligible for the signs. Leanne has worked with TDOT, and those costs are eligible to be reimbursed under our litter grant program, and they do count for education. So this particular resolution allows or authorizes the program. And then we have documents. We have in your packet, we have a volunteer waiver program. That's the second motion that I'm requesting. And then we also have worked with TDOT, and then also gotten some litter grant programs from around the country in putting together the documents that you have, which are the safety guidance. And then we've got an Adopt a Road program description and application. Then today I distributed to you what that application looks like. And then the collection report. And then again, next would be the liability release form. So this is something I think would be really good for the county, and we hope will make a difference. And the wonderful thing is it's in response to a great idea from a citizen. So
Commissioner Scott?
Thank you very much. Of course, I'm going to have some questions about this. We do this in the city of Oak Ridge through the Neighborhood Watch Program, and it's very, very popular. Generally, we have a spring and then a fall cleanup in different areas in town. Keep Anderson County Beautiful helps us with regards to the vests and the grabber thingies and the bags. And we usually have a police officer, if not one, two, on hand because of any findings of drug paraphernalia, stashes, etc., that get put into hazmat bags, and then the officer picks them up immediately. Are these programs going to be monitored and assisted in that same manner, where someone from the sheriff's department is going to be there, or are they going to have someone, a supervisor? Or, I mean, can you kind of elaborate in that particular area?
these are not going to be organized with the sheriff's department. So that's why the safety guidance is in there. And then we're asking them, TDOT actually has a training video, and Knox County operates that way. Keep Anderson County Beautiful, we are supporters of their program. So actually the Anderson County Litter Grant Program underwrites the vests and the litter grabbers for the Keep Anderson County Beautiful program. This is, this would be, so for instance, Christopher Hammond, he's someone who's just been doing this on his own already.
Wow.
So he goes out, he cleans up a stream. He's taken responsibility for, I think it's Lonesome Dove Road. Commissioner Wandell or Jay might remember the email he sent. This would basically just help him, someone like him with supplies, or if there's a neighborhood group that wants, there's a lady up in, on the Mountain Road area in Commissioner Anderson's district, Brandy, I believe is her name, who is just a one-woman machine. This would help us, you know, have a great responsible relationship with her where we can help provide her trash bags and the vest and the proper guidance, and then also a sign if she would like a sign.
Well, and one of the reasons why I'm asking about all this is because you're going to have companies that are going to want to put their name on one of these signs. And they may, as an example, they may have an employee community day where 25 people, or the first 20 people that sign up, they may be rewarded with PTO or whatever they offer. If that's the case, if it's a business and they want a 1 mile stretch, I would suggest that a group of, you know, say 15 or more, they can apply to get that stretch for, say, $100, and that money be put towards this particular campaign, because it's going to cost a few dollars to get 20 vests and 50 garbage bags and 20 of the grabbers and, you know, so on and so forth. It's not going to be cheap. And one of my other questions to you, Mayor, is what about within the cities and municipalities? Even though we have county roads, how do you, what do you do?
Well, so the Tennessee Litter Grant Program, as so for instance, TDOT really is responsible for picking up the litter on the state highways, but yet we're getting the state dollars through the litter grant program. And so when there's a need, our litter grant program, whether it's the inmates and the sheriff's department and our solid waste department, or whether it's through contracted services, I mean, we reach out to the state, but we also aren't going to let the community suffer. So we will take care of the state roads. So, I mean, you know, the litter grant program, if it is inside the city, will encourage them to go, you know, into the county. But I think, you know, if they cross over or it's some type of shared, there's not a prohibition from the TDOT litter grant side that it has to be in the county only. It's for the whole county. And that's how we're able to give the dollars to keep Anderson County beautiful. They're out in Oak Ridge. They're at, you know, Earth Day events, giving out. It's to prevent litter and address litter for the whole county, whether it's city or county.
Okay.
And
The more-
we do work closely with the sheriff's department. So for instance, you know, if they schedule a pickup, there's a group, for instance, up in, it's in the Cove Lane area, and they have a neighborhood watch. We also, our litter grant program equips them with T-shirts and litter grabbers, and the T-shirts in this case are fluorescent yellow, and they do a crossover. We report that to the state of Tennessee under the litter grant program, all the trash they've picked up. And if they feel like they've got a large enough group where they need sheriff's department, you know, assistance, then we arrange for that. We can make that happen. And the sheriff's department's been very great about doing that. And so does Jeff, because we actually have a deputy that is on the payroll in the solid waste department for this program.
Okay. In areas that are more congested with garbage and or trash, I'm gonna say like Key Springs Road, perhaps Beer Can Alley out towards Oliver Springs, where it's high trafficked areas and or steep. I'd hate for, you know, just folks from the residential areas to go out there and start picking stuff up and fall off the mountain, or, you know, be, you know, involved in an accident, because even though they had a vest on, the person that was driving was texting and not paying attention. Are you going to have areas that are cordoned off, that those areas will not be picked up by anyone other than, you know, through the sheriff's department?
No, we're not going to make that determination. In fact, Key Springs Road is a great example where there are already numerous citizens that have picked up or pick up that road on a regular basis. Dr. Horton is one of those who often picks up that road. There's another professor from Roane State who picks it up. I think he and his wife have picked it up for a long time. We can't stop them. There is no state law that says they cannot go out, but the state of Tennessee encourages us to get a liability waiver if we're going to do a program. And they also do a liability waiver, but they can't stop someone from picking up trash on the side. And so I did reach out. I actually had Leanne reach out with that specific question. If you'll look at the guidance, I think we put that in there. The safety training video, Jay also encouraged us to put on that application when they come pick up the liability. Jay, your next item that says the liability release form, Jay actually asked us to put in there, I certify that I've read this document and I understand, and that I received a copy of the safety guidance and have completed the safety video training. So, you know, there's already citizens out there doing that. We just hope that we can educate them to do it better and smarter and and wiser and give them the proper safety equipment to do that in a
Sure.
safe.
Sure. No, I actually appreciate this. I think it'll be rather successful. I think you're going to find that, different groups are going to be interested in going out and doing community service. And it'll be nice to have it visual or visible on the more traveled thoroughfares. Because like I said, Neighborhood Watch, we're focusing on the residential areas itself behind those main roads. So yeah, this is going to be good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mayor Frank, I actually saw Brandy Brogdon this morning on my way to work before 8 o'clock. She was out already working and picking up the litter.
Keep the machine.
Yeah, and St. Francis Episcopal Church in Norris they've adopted 441 going towards the dam for several years now, and that's a pretty curvy area with a lot of traffic. So I'm sure I've helped them a few times, and I know they take a lot of safety precautions. So I'm sure they'd have some advice or pointers for anyone that's interested in doing this on some of the county roads. But I'd like to go ahead and make the motion to approve this.
Second.
You want to approve 5 and 6 together as one, or do them separately?
That's fine. Yes.
Are you okay with that, Commissioner Scott, doing 5 and 6 together, both requests?
Yes, sir.
And we have a motion second, discussion. Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Isabel,
Aye.
Commissioner Meredith,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCamey,
Aye.
Commissioner Mead,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Commissioner Wandale.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you, commissioners. I think this will be a great advancement and something that you can be proud of. So we look forward to getting this in place. And then also, Knox County does an Adopt a Stream program. So we're going to try to tackle that next. And I think the city of Oak Ridge is also doing that. So.
Mr.
the
Chairman, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Mayor, that's a wonderful program, and I really appreciate you getting this off the ground. But I think I read in there that this serves for community service credits, if I'm not mistaken. And I have people, and I'm sure the mayor does too, calling that are on the lottery scholarship, and they have to do so many community service hours. And from time to time, we'll have something they can do. And but I think this is a wonderful opportunity for the college-age kids that have to have so many community service hours to get out here and help their community and fight. One of the biggest issues we have in our beautiful county is that people continue to litter our roadways. And I've looked at littering's been on my mind for years, and I can't figure out the intent other than just absolute laziness. But this is going to be a great opportunity for many people in our community, and especially those that, if you know anyone that is on the lottery scholarship that needs community service hours, I think this is a wonderful opportunity for them. But again, thank you, Commission, and thank you, Mayor, for getting this off the ground. It's a great program.
Thank you, Jay. The next item is I had sent out an email to see if there was interest in updating the county logo and or doing a logo or updating a seal. And I did reach out to Rex Lynch. I don't know if he is there tonight, but in researching in the archives, the seal, I put this in your package. The first seal that they could find in archives anyway, unless there's something else somewhere else, was this particular version of the seal. And then what I was told was that Rex's dad actually, I guess, made this more modern or computerized. And that's the only history that I can find on the county seal. And I don't know if Rex is there to speak on it. But I also put in your package what Knox County did, which was create, they still have their county seal that is used for your official documents, your letterhead. It's still the official county seal, but then they went through a design and brand process. And so I did put in all of your boxes the color version because I know the scans are usually black and white. But I just wanted to bring that to you for discussion and see if it's something you had an interest in doing. I personally think it would be a good thing to maybe work on a logo or something to modernize Anderson County a bit, but that's just my thoughts. So I'll just open it up and leave it there.
Commissioner Scott, then Commissioner Yeager.
Thank you. You know, it wouldn't be a meeting that I was in if I didn't have a handful of questions. I've asked around. I've just asked in general what people thought of our logo or the seal, and I have to admit, the majority of the people that I asked about making modifications or changes to it, it was like, why? And I thought, well, you know, you got a good point. Why? What's the big deal? Why do we need to change the way it's been? I don't see a problem in leaving the logo as it is for the county seal itself. If you want to come up with a logo for branding, I'm going to put it out there as to even what I think about it. Knox County, that's a train wreck, if you ask me. It just doesn't look professional. It doesn't say Knox County. It just looks like a pair of squiggly lines. You know, I don't have a problem with putting a logo out, but I would suggest that you ask our high school art students to come up with something rather than hiring a company to come in and say, this is what's suitable and this is going to look good for your business. But I would suggest leaving the seal the way it is and coming up with a logo. But that's from just what I've asked out in general public as well as my own personal opinion.
Commissioner Yeager.
Thank you, Chairman. This logo was done when I was a teenager, so you know it has to be old. And I think updating things to what's going on now is just as important as honoring our traditions. And I'm in full favor of looking into updating this look. There are things on here that don't apply to me as a resident, Magnet Mills. I just think I'd love to look into upgrading personally. Logo idea, I'm kind of neutral on, but this seal, I'm not a fan of. Thank you.
Mr. Yeager, do you want to make a motion to approve that?
To approve well, let me ask the mayor, what would you like to hear? Would you like just to hear an approval or to look into? I mean, I suggested that about the high schools with the art teachers and the history teachers a while back, and I still like that idea, but I'll leave that up to you to how you propose we proceed. But I will make a motion that the mayor look into updating our county seal.
You know, I didn't come tonight to really do anything more. I usually try to, if I'm asking for a motion, I'll try to put that on there for you. I just wanted to really see, you know, you're the governing body, and I'm a believer, you know, perhaps we do a small working group. You know, we have the archivist, you know, Commissioner Yeager you know, maybe we have a commissioner, I mean, maybe we get a group to see, come back with a recommendation to operations for maybe how we proceed. Maybe just,
Let me withdraw my motion then, and we'll do it a little more unofficially then. If
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah,
Sounds good.
okay.
Sounds good. Any other discussion?
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Wandale?
thank you, sir. I like the idea as well, and I would just add, I'd like to have the tourism involved with it. I like to have the chamber involved with it. And
Yeah.
I love the idea of having the school, young folks, the artists and the art classes involved. And I think that'll give us a full breadth of all the different areas and locations and ideas and genres that would give us the best look. So I'm in favor of this. I remember Commissioner Gillenwater brought it in and we just never did anything with it. He actually had a logo he presented, but we just never do anything with it. So I appreciate it, Mayor, and I agree with Commissioner Yeager, and I hope we can just see something as we go down the line and maybe form the committee like the mayor said. But I'm in support of it, however you'd like to proceed, Mr. Chairman and Mayor.
okay, okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, go ahead, Mayor.
That's all I had on action item. I just put a few bits of information only on there. We are having a TARP event at the Glen Alpine Convenience Center. This is something that Chairman Anderson wanted to see us do. So we've got that. We have tarps. The Ace Hardware in Clinton gave us our Little Grant program a really good deal. So we're going to recognize them as part sponsor in this and purchasing the tarps. They've got the Tennessee logo affixed, and that's going to be 9 to 1 at the Glen Alpine Convenience Center. And then the closing for the Wolf Valley property.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
how many, for this event on Saturday, how many people do you think are going to be showing up for that?
I don't know, but we only have 350 tarps. So, and it's an education. You are required, a lot of folks don't realize it, but it is law that you're supposed to tarp, you know, your trash if you have it in a
Right.
pickup truck. So this is part educational as well.
That's pretty cool. That's good.
The Wolf Valley property, I don't have the deeds in my fingers yet, but when that's filed, we'll have that. But we did sign all the closing documents. And then today we submitted for the purchase order for the engineering on that particular site. The senior center renovations are complete. And the single secure entry low bidder was awarded. The contract is being finalized. Mr. Yeager put his signature and stamp of approval on that today. So Catherine Ajmeri will be executing that. And then the Marlowe Convenience Center renovations, I believe we're back open. I forgot to check in today because Jeff was looking at Friday, but maybe we open Friday or today. And then we still have a little bit of fence work to do there. We're going to put some of the screening on that. But those are just some notes I did as an update for you. And that's all I have.
Marlowe is open, Mayor.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you, Commissioner McCamey.
Any other comments or questions to the mayor before we move on? Commissioner Wandale, would it be okay if Dr. Bunick steps in before your request?
Sure.
Okay. Dr. Bunick.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me on tonight. It was a fantastic effort by all the commissioners, and especially my partner in crime, Catherine Denenberg, to work so intensely to get the vaccines. When you asked me to do Rocky Top with Jim Muncie, who owns Muncie's Pharmacy, both of us are Rotarians, we agree we need to serve the people in rural Anderson County, and the surrounding counties. The catch was the limited availability of the vaccines. So when we didn't receive our shipments on Friday, and we didn't receive shipments Monday and Tuesday, I got nervous because we needed at least 200 to 250 doses for Saturday. You had worked so hard, Catherine and Tim Isbell, along with Mayor Brian Schroeder, and the fire department, and Pastor Phillips, to get all the volunteers, the little tents, the logistics, all organized. The last hurdle was getting the vaccine. And at 8 o'clock that night, on Tuesday night, we finally got a call from the state, Dr. Freshus, who, after I explained that we were here to serve rural Tennessee, and Anderson County is rural Tennessee, Oak Ridge is rural Tennessee, she finally consented to send us 300 doses. So that made it possible to have the service on Saturday. It was supposed to open at 10:30. People were already there at 8 o'clock. We had a total of 38 volunteers, all the commissioners, and we got a call from the Anderson County Health Department head saying, wait a minute, you're not authorized to transport vaccine. Well, Rotary can fix that. Once Brian Schroeder found correct cooler that could be plugged into a vehicle, we bought the cooler. And we bought a second one because we realized that beautiful new ambulance did not have a refrigerator. So Rotary was pleased to donate to that ambulance and Mayor to have a cooler. Most of our medications are not stable over 95 degrees. Your internal temperature goes off into 120. You can't transport very sick people without having those medications. So we have given one refrigerator to the ambulance, and the second one remains at Muncie's to do little runabout vaccine clinics. We're very pleased for your accounting, and I think the commissioners, as well as Mayor Frank, will also be pleased that 38 volunteers rendered 283 hours of service. And by the nonprofit, 1 hour of service is valued at $23.50. That means for every volunteer, for every hour they do, for your service, you must pay them $23.50 if you were to hire them. The total value of the 283 service hours was $6,650.50. The cost of our supplies that we purchased for this vaccine clinic was $888.87. I'm pleased, and I have sent this to the commission. I know some of you, it's very small, but these are the photos we took of our happy team. There's our little team members here with the ambulance. There's Kevin and team. So we're very pleased for this opportunity. We are committed to you. Find other little small communities in need, and we will serve you and your people. So I thank you very much. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask, and I'll try to answer them for you.
Dr. Bunick, on behalf of Commissioner Val and myself, we greatly appreciate what you, the Rotary Club, and Commissioner Nidenberg has done. It was very successful. What our target audience was is to trying to get people in that normally does not have computer service, doesn't know, or could be technically challenged, go online to register. And as you know, that, probably at least 80% of the people showed up kind of fit that bill. And so we greatly appreciate that. And the people that responded to the shots, the extra service, just like the one gentleman that you checked his heart rate and gave him the prednisone and the Benadryl to him and his son both, having them prepared. I know that guy personally, and all the commissioners know him as well. But that,
I'm really
very
pleased.
appreciated.
We came prepared to take care of everybody. We brought the meds, we brought the vaccines. You have the ambulance support and the Sheriff Fowle. That was my first time meeting him. Catherine was there patrolling. We had no incidents. We had no anaphylaxis. We had no seriousness. And those of us that realize that people with COVID do have often very serious reactions. As I mentioned to some of you before, we had a gentleman come in with 105 fever, and his primary care said, please call the pharmacy. Okay, he has 105 fever. He's had COVID. He was there was no room at the hospitals, so he had to come every day for his steroids and his IVs when he was sick back in November. So we treated him with IV hydrocortisone. We gave him the combination of acetaminophen and ibuprofen, and within 30 minutes, the temperature started to go down to 101, and we saved him from another hospitalization. But these are the things we've learned. Muncie's now has given over 4,000 vaccines. I've been there at least 4 to 5 days a week, and we've been very fortunate. We've only had one anaphylaxis, and again, she was spared the ventilator because we had on-site medication and rapid transport. We are committed to serve everybody in need. We do have some people that are not legal citizens of the United States, but they work here. They're transient workers. And I also feel that it's important to take care of them and their family. And also, we have some people that are guests in our community. I don't know where their homes are going to be, but I want them healthy. So no matter where they go, we don't find them dead on the street. So I thank you, and please keep us informed now that we've got refrigerated transport and all of you providing security. I now can say that Muncie's and I can go anywhere you wish, as long as we have directions, that we can serve the poor. So we'll keep doing it until we reach herd immunity, which should be approximately 70 to 75% of our population. So thank you so much. I wish you all a very blessed evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bunick. And I understand in talking to Commissioner Denenberg today that you've got maybe a total of 1,000 vaccines available, that you could go out
Yes.
to companies and even make house calls. And
Yes,
like
well-
go to the Claxton or wherever any of the commissioners may want to put something together.
Absolutely. We found that out this afternoon. So going from just a week and a half ago, scrounging for vaccines to have a vaccine clinic, to abundance. Let's keep it going, and we have it to give. Just tell us when and where, and we'll make sure we get there.
I agree, and thanks again, and especially to the Muncie Pharmacy and all their group that were all out in the rain.
I will tell them. And I wish you all a pleasant evening. And if anybody has questions, they can contact me directly.
I think Commissioner Scott may have
Catherine.
a question now.
Dr. Bunick, real quick, being that you have extra vaccines, have you contacted Torch?
Yes, I've contacted Naomi Asher and City Manager Mark Watson. And we're waiting for the contact from Scarborough. And there's been several small businesses that have contacted Jim Muncie directly to see if we could pull up in their parking lot so that they don't have to lose a lot of people time and waiting wise. And Jim has hired 3 more people for part-time work, myself and Pam and Carol King are totally volunteer. I have a volunteer license, so I cannot be paid. And the other girls are volunteer at this time. But he has hired on a few other people to keep this project going because we do know that it may be another 4 to 5 months to vaccinate everybody. But also, there's possibly going to be an annual booster that we'll have to do too, in addition to our regular flu vaccines. So I'm the doctor that is signed on for the advisory position for Muncie's vaccine program. And you have to have that in order to get the license.
If you reach out
Yes.
to, Mayor Frank, I'm very confident that she has the contact information for the folks with Torch who deal directly with the homeless. And I'm sure that they would know how to gather those folks for getting vaccinated.
Right, and we worked with them for the COVID project throughout the holidays and the food packages. And we'll be happy to work with them or pull up in little church locations. Naomi said there was a food handout going to be done next week at one of the churches and asked us to possibly come and be prepared to vaccinate people there. So we're open, just contact us, send us, and we'll try to work everything in. It's important for our community. We've got a wonderful community. Keep it that way. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Again, thank you, Dr. Bunick. Does anyone else have anything? Not, we'll move on. Commissioner Wandale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, first thing is the Ben's Mobile Home Park. Last operations meeting, discussion about maybe getting a consultant of some sort, and I was just curious if Jay Yeager, the mayor, had an update.
Jay and I have discussed it, Commissioner Wandell, but I have not gotten to it yet or landed on someone yet. So it's not, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm one of the mayors that's working on negotiations for the opiate settlement, and it has dominated my time. It really has. So I've been doing the best to keep up, but I have stayed in contact with Margie on TDEC and the sewer. The one sewer issue she reported to me was fixed. She's still continuing to work with them on cleaning up the burned out trailers and then also the codes enforcement portion. I know when we had our meeting with Jay, she's going to be sending over where there's just a refusal to act. Those are going to end up in the legal process. Jay did send me some recommendations that the best would be an environmental type consultant. And again, I just, other things have come in front of it this month. Commissioner Wandell is all I can say, but I'm going to continue to work on it, and I'll have something for you by next month.
Thanks, Mayor. I just, there's some people being taken to court, I guess, this week on that issue. And I just, it's hard when you can't, follow through on a request. And I don't really feel like I'm getting the direction I need as a commissioner to relay to the citizens that approach me in my district to get them some resolution. TDEC has found the issue to be a problem. Apparently, it might be the same issue that Marjorie's speaking of. I don't know. But to evict the resident because of a sewer issue, I don't. But I guess maybe the judges in Anderson County can figure that piece out. I don't know. It just bothers me that I'm not able to assist the citizens when they've approached me, maybe 3 months ago now. So I guess my next question is, is there a way I can go to the state to get that direction? Do I need to call the fire marshal? What can I do to offer these citizens some resolve?
Well, as far as the citizens, I mean, are they being evicted over the sewer issue? Because I have been told that was remedied on the sewer side.
Well,
There has been a moratorium on the evictions, and that's where, I would have to defer to Jay on this. But the court would have, that's where we can't, I don't know what the situation is between the citizen and what their lease agreement says with Mr. Graves. So, we can do things on the enforcement side, and, TDEC can do things on the sewer side, but I don't know how to, step in between the landlord and the tenant as a government official is where, I know that you want help on that. I'm frustrated how I can help you on that side of things.
and I understand, and I do respect your time is limited, and you're working on very important things with that opiate legislation, and that area probably has a lot to do with it in some cases, I guess. So let me, if I could, on the zoning side, what I'd like to do is have a meeting with Marjorie or whoever. It could be a Zoom meeting. I don't need to come in person. I would just like to get updated from zoning, specifically what zoning infractions and have been to date, and I'd like to get caught up to speed. I understand there's an effort moving to get things cleaned up and fixed, and I'd like to maybe talk to the zoning side to get them to, instead of everything going through you and Jay, and we're all trying to chase our tails with other things, and maybe that would help me, and then I can go to the state and see what I can do there too. I've told the citizens that if they're going to evict you for other reasons outside of the sewer, even though I think the sewer is the real reason they're being evicted, maybe this moratorium that they have with COVID would prevent that. And I'm hopeful that the judges will see it that way too in Anderson County. I suspect they will.
And Commissioner Wandell, if I can equip you with contact information. So for instance, the Tennessee Valley Coalition for the Homeless, they are able to help people if they are facing eviction for, say, there is something that the landlord is saying is their responsibility, and they do not have the funds to remedy that, and they are going to be homeless. They do have funds to help them, whether it qualifies for repair or to move to a new location. There are agencies that can help in that regard, and we can certainly fix them up with some assistance there. I just don't know, is it that they they want to stay there in that location? If they do own, are they renting the lot? Because some of the people in Benz actually own the lot and own the unit. Someone else owns the land, and then they might own the unit. And some, they're leasing both the unit and the land. And if we can get some more guidance on that, if you want to share that with me, I can track down, does it qualify for emergency repair assistance in order to, maintain their home? Or if it's just a strictly rental agreement, we might just help them find something better and a better place to move with that rental assistance.
Okay,
That could be of further help.
Yeah, I'll certainly pass that along. I don't, it wasn't their issue to begin with. It was coming from another site behind their location. but it ran into their location. So they raised their hand and now they're the ones going to be evicted, even though it's not their sewer, let's say. But no, I'll find out for sure. I believe that the situation is they own the housing unit and rent the land. I think that's the
Okay.
grounds.
Okay.
That they're being evicted or something. So we'll see what happens there, and I'll follow up with you, and we'll go from there. Jay, did you have anything else to add, or can you
Yes, sir.
educate me?
Commissioner Wandale, if you can get me the party's name and let them contact me, and we'll find out what court date they have, and I'll appear in court and tell the chancellor what the county's position is and what we're trying to do there. But please get me those individuals' names and phone number or something where I can reach out to them and try to find out what their court date is. And I'll be glad to present our side of the case to the chancellor. I can't represent them, but I'll certainly be there in court just to let the chancellor know what we're trying to do and the vast amount of partners that we're trying to get to help us in this. But if you can do that, I'll be glad to help you with that, sir.
Thank you, Jay. And I don't know what your schedule looks like tomorrow, but I'll send you the information.
So we'll make it happen.
And I want to say this for the record, I'm not out to get Mr. Graves or the owner of the Ben's mobile home. My hope is, just like I'm sure the mayors and Jays and full commission, we'd like to just have some kind of plan going forward with all these properties and the different processes in place, and trying to get our arms around it to where it can, we have road issues, we have sewer issues, we have electrical issues, we have fires, we have all kinds of issues. And I'd like to just see us come to an agreement with Mr. Graves on how we all together can fix it to where it's a livable community and everybody can make it work. But wishful thinking doesn't always get you there. I appreciate you both. I really do. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have on that item.
Okay, continue on, Commissioner Wandale.
The mayor and Jay and you have already talked about East Wolf Valley, and I'd like to say thank you to the mayor and Jay Yeager and Robert McCamey, Jeff Trabaka, full commission for their support. I know we're just waiting on the deeds, but the deal's done as far as is that correct, Mayor? It's a done deal. Yeah, and I'm really excited about that. And I know the community is excited about that. Commissioner Fritz is excited about that, and look forward to the recycling being back involved again. And I guess my question is, and you mentioned it, Mayor, but what kind of timeline are we looking at to potentially get moved in? And what's your thoughts? And maybe Robert can expound. I appreciate it.
Well, I've got a meeting with Jeff Trabaka later this week. There is a building on there that we will need to demolish in order to, make full use of the site. We will work on that. And then we already, I took through commission the funding request already for the engineering, it's the whole, I don't have it in front of me, Commissioner, I apologize, but everything from the construction oversight to the engineering to whatever is required of that particular process, the site development. You all already approved that at the full commission level. So once the closing happened, then today I just was already authorized to trigger that purchase order. So I did talk to the engineer on Friday. I let him know, hey, I got to check, make sure I have that in the right codes, and we're ready to get started. So I don't know. I don't have a time frame yet from him on what that looks like in terms of the site development. But then, we have to develop the bid documents, and the engineer does that as well. And then you have to post that bid, and then we go to construction. So I would guess, I don't know, I would guess 30 to 60 days on the engineering, and then it would go to your solid waste board to get approval and input, and then also come to you all for approval and input. And then we would develop the bid documents and then we would have to come back to you. So I don't think that necessarily the construction will take that long, but just that process of leading up to the entering into the contract. I guess.
Tentatively,
An answer.
no, I know you wouldn't have it as a precise answer tonight, but I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit and see. So probably 2-3 months before we get to the final stage of start really getting the dirt moved or something like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And then it'll probably take another, however long it depends. We'll get those bids back and find out. But I know it'll be done quick as possible. The transition from the current location to the new location, I guess, the solid waste will handle that. And
Yes. Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll be talking to Jeff about that, the permitting process, and that goes through TDEC, and it's just going to be right down the road. And I know they know we need a new place, so I don't foresee any issues at all.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate everyone involved. That's a big deal for us in this district. I appreciate it. And the county, everybody uses that place, so we'll have a bigger place to use.
Yeah.
That concludes that item. Unless Robert had anything, I don't know if he's still there or not. Let's go to now number 3, Veterans Bride U.S. flag placements. I did correct the spelling on that, but apparently the incorrect spelling made it on the agenda. But maybe it caught some people's attention and got people excited to get this U.S. flags put on the bridge. Chairman of the Veterans Committee, and I know the previous chairman, Mr. Mead, was also under this. He was a big advocate of getting the flags on the bridge as well. And of course, he serves with the state Tennessee County Commissioners Association as the committee chair for the Veterans Committee. And we've been approached about, can we get flags on the Veterans Bridge in Clinton? I've sent emails. I've talked to Greg Fay. Apparently, we can't hang the flags on the current flag hangers because they're not engineered to handle those kinds of flags. I've asked Lieutenant Governor McNally in an email. I went to State Representative John Reagan, and I talked to Robert McCamey the other day after going to the senior center and visiting with the mayor. And Cherie, I said, Robert, it amazes me that here in Anderson County, we have trouble putting a United States flag on the Veterans Bridge in Anderson County. And I feel more resistance to get that done than I have anything in the county. And now Mayor's been great, and I don't want to throw Mayor in there because she's done nothing but ask to help, and Jay's the same way. So I'm just going to put it out there, Mr. Chairman. I want to make it a motion that we get the flags installed at the front and the back, or both entrances in the middle of the median, if possible, United States flags based on the request of the Veterans Committee. And I make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wandell and a second by Commissioner Scott. Any discussion? Commissioner Mead?
I was going to second the motion, but I was muted.
Okay. All right, seeing no further discussion.
I did have just one little thing on that. When Commissioner Wandell let me know, I did reach out to TDOT and let them know that the Veterans Committee had made that request. Leanne did go verify with Bill Brown in the property assessors that, that was TDOT right of way. And so I sent the chief engineer a request based on, I shared that Commissioner Wandell had shared that the Veterans Committee was interested in that. I got an official response on April 5th that they are officially reviewing the request, and then they will be meeting with management to discuss the request. So the first time I reached out, the person in charge was out for death in the family. And then when he returned, I did get that response from him personally on April the 5th. So maybe Commissioner Wandell, it's going to come full circle and we'll be able to handle it from right here inside Anderson County government. So
Mayor, I appreciate it. And if anybody can get it done with TDOT, it'll be you. And as I mentioned to Robert McCamey, if I have to go to Ace Hardware and buy a flag and stick it in the ground, I will.
Well, there's 2 big mounds. That's what I told him. I was like, we've got the land here to make it happen. And I did share with them that the American Legion said that they would be responsible for purchasing the flagpoles and maintaining. So,
Correct.
yes.
Any other discussion or comments? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Isabel,
Absolutely.
Commissioner Meredith, Commissioner Anderson, he left. Commissioner McCamey, Commissioner Mead,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Commissioner Wandell.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else? Any new business become, Mayor Frank?
Yeah, just real quickly, I know in the Claxton district, there was an accident with a little girl, and the commissioners from that district have been, Commissioner Wandell was on a call where we discussed some safety improvements as part of the widening of State Route 170. And Commissioner Fritz had to work overtime, so he was not able to be on that call, but the director of schools was on that call, the sheriff was on that call. A lot of these very same issues were raised, but I did want to let you know that I shared that news with TDOT and then expressed to them that there was what appeared to me to be backing from the community for some safety improvements in the interim or the near term while we wait for these longer term safety improvements. So I will let you all know what I hear back, but I hope you don't mind. I usually like to do a official request, but having heard from the commissioners, I just went ahead and did that just as an informal email to TDOT.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you. Mayor, thank you for doing that. And even if it could be some kind of sign for the interim, just kids playing or something to get them to slow down, that would be helpful. And while we're on the subject, I won't take up much more time, Mr. Chairman. I genuinely want to say thank you to the EMS responders, Claxton Volunteer Fire Department, the Sheriff's Department, state troopers, everybody that was on the scene. I got there quite a bit later coming through, and it was surreal. I feel prayers for the little girl and the people driving the truck and the family. And it's just, for those commissioners who may not know, there was an accident on Edgemore Road and the little girl got hit. And I don't know much more about it, but I want to thank the sheriff for all he did, and EMS. I just can't thank y'all enough, so I appreciate it.
I know, Commissioner, it's overwhelming to see the response of our EMS, our first responders, our Sheriff's Department, in a situation like this. It's overwhelming. Commissioner Yeager, did you want to speak?
Not on this issue, but when we're ready to move on, I do.
Okay. I think we're ready unless Commissioner Wandell's got anything else.
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, this isn't a piece of business, but it's just a heads up of something I've thought about and I've mentioned once, I believe. But in the next few months, we're going to get a substantial amount of money from the federal government, from, like, I can't remember all the names of the programs, but I would like to request that we have a work session to discuss it in a more informal basis than just to take it to budget and have them decide and then eventually come to full commission. Now, I see Chairman Anderson had to leave, and we're not ready to schedule something like that yet, but this is a pretty big deal. I mean, we're talking sizable, and this could be almost a game-changing kind of amount of money. And I'll mention this again when I know a little more details, but I think it's important enough that we have full participation in deciding what we're to do with this block of money. And that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Any other?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Wendell.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to follow up on Commissioner Yeager's comment, which I agree with. Commissioner Yeager, and I know you're not making a motion at this minute, but is your thought to have it before the money gets here and maybe have full commission have a workshop and then what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, we apparently we have a decent amount of time to spend it, but it changes every week, the particulars on that, and Mayor Frank and I had a discussion about that also. But yeah, I think once we learn the dollar amount, and we're pretty close to knowing the dollar amount, I think we should probably meet before we actually get the money to have some kind of game plan once it hits.
So like a full public meeting for commission, maybe? Is that what you're thinking? A workshop?
Yeah, workshop. So there's no voting, no motions, but a lot of discussion and a lot of deep thought, and there's some important issues that we could probably take care of, some real important needs. And I just want to have a full commission discussion on it in more of an informal basis before we take it to an official basis.
I like that. Thank you.
Good idea.
I would suggest that the funds be put on hold once they're received. And then, that way everyone would know this is what we have in hand and take it from there, as opposed to this is what we were expecting to receive. Just make it known that once that payment comes in, freeze it. Don't let anybody put their mitts on it and claim it or spend it or anything else. Simply set it off to the side. And then come up with a decision of, when we should meet and who all gets invited.
I think what you could do, that money does, Commissioner Scott, it is put aside. So you can't actually spend it until there's commission authorization to appropriate it into an expense fund. So it would be receipted, and then Mr. Holbrook apprised the Finance Committee today that he was going to set up a separate account for that would only be those funds. But to Commissioner Yeager's point, you could go ahead tonight and do a motion to authorize the setting up of that workshop. Just leave the date unanswered, or not set. And then when that guidance comes down and more, so for instance, Randy in finance and I are both watching and getting the emails, and they continue to wrestle with what it can be spent on. And so when there's some final guidance that's delivered, you would already have that motion in place and wouldn't have to wait for the right meeting. And then you could just, Robbie could set up that workshop. Or I'm happy to, or whatever, working with you all. Whoever you want to set it up, but you could go ahead and do the motion to get that workshop authorized. And then the date would be dependent upon, we would just shoot you an email and say, hey, the guidance is out now.
Well, let me go ahead and make that motion that we schedule a workshop to discuss this. What act is this from? I can't even remember anymore. Okay.
Coronavirus emergency. I can shoot that to Annette for your minutes. And I think our allocation is looking at 14.9 million.
Okay, well, that's why it's so important, I think, to get this started. So I'll make a motion to authorize a work session to discuss with full commission and work session obviously is no motions, no votes, at some point to be determined in the future. But I do want to get this set up so that we can just kind of jump and go. So that's my motion, even though it's long.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Yeager, second by Commissioner Wandell. Any other discussion?
It's the American Rescue Plan Act and Local Government Recovery and Rebuilding Direct Appropriation Grant.
All right, add that, please.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Isabel,
Aye.
Commissioner Meredith, Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner McCamey, Commissioner Mead,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Commissioner Wandell.
Aye.
Motion passes. I want to say thank you, Commissioner Scott. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I just want to say, I appreciate Annette for being in on this call. I know she's under the weather. And we hope her the best, quick recovery, and all commissioners are willing to help you in any way if you need anything. Any other new business to come before this committee? Any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. It was a great discussion tonight. We covered a lot of stuff and good time. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you all. Have a good evening.